Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I got a good video for you today. The video is going to be about the Waukesha, Wisconsin killings with the guy with the red Ford SUV who killed 6 people during a Christmas parade in 2021. Just went on trial and I'm going to go over that with everybody now. Before I get started, please check me out on YouTube member programs. Check me out on Patreon. Please check me out on Discord, all the platforms. Check the book out, Gangster Redemption. Check all our merch out. We're having a lot of stuff going on, the cigar and everything else. Things are going great, but please check it all out. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, hit that bell, get the notifications, and you stay in contact with what we are doing. All right, this is the video on a guy who did himself. Now, he represented himself as an attorney. His name is Daryl Brooks. Daryl Brooks is not the sharpest tool in the shed, but they always say one who represents himself has a fool for a client. That's the old saying. Listen, if you know the law, there's nobody who knows your case better. I do agree with that part of it, but you better know what you're doing. I watched a couple of videos on this case, and this guy is just out there. The trial just ended and he did lose. He was found guilty on all charges, on 6 murders, and I think 62 other counts he had of running and killing people through to Waukesha. It's called the Waukesha, Wisconsin. It was a Christmas parade in 2020. I remember this incident too. This guy ran his Ford SUV right through the crowd and literally was rolling over people and killing people. Now, he comes out and he represents himself. His first argument is that he's his own sovereign citizen and he doesn't believe he is held accountable by the state of Wisconsin or even the laws of the United States. Now, I heard those arguments by people in prison, and you know, we used to call them the crazies. They're coming up and they say that they have all the backings of the Constitution and everything else that goes with that, but no, they don't. They've never won in court either. So that's the first thing. The first thing he does, he calls the state of Wisconsin as a witness. Now, if you have to call a person or you have to call somebody who can represent that entity, you just can't say, I want to call the state. Who's going to show up? The governor? You have to name a person, and then that person has to be subpoenaed and he has to come to court. Obviously, the judge says, we'll address this at another time, call your next witness. This judge is handling this guy pretty good too. Because, you know, I always say that, you know, if anything happened to me, I would probably want to represent myself. But I'm a little bit different. I know the law a lot better than this guy. This guy was objecting and relevancies without even hearing the question yet. This guy had no idea. I don't know if he watched too many fucking Perry Mason movies or Law and Order movies or some shit. But this guy really did not know what he was doing. And I don't know if that's going to be a grounds for at the sentencing as your little fucking mental case and what's going to happen to him. Now, in this case, what this guy did, first of all, at first he tried to say maybe he wasn't the one in the car where driving it, and on his own opening statement. Now, first of all, an opening statement is supposed to summarize in a rough show what you're gonna represent. You're gonna bring on witnesses to prove that whatever, if it's a case that the gun wasn't that gun, the fingerprints weren't yours, the DNA, you know, was bogus or whatever it is. This guy had none of that. This guy was just rambling. And I watched that video and I'm like, hello, I can imagine what the jury is saying during this. The jury has got to be like, what the fuck is going on? Because this guy really had no clue. Now, I don't know why. I guess you have to, as a judge, you have to let somebody represent themselves. That's part of our Constitution. You can represent yourself. But then again, you are the fool. And you are a fool as a client and trying to do that. Now, I looked at this and I want to put up some pictures right now. Look at these people he killed. I want you to look at this. Little kid, I mean, older people. This is sad. I mean, you seeing this right now? Look at that. That's terrible. I mean, they go into a Christmas parade and they lose their life. You know, there's so much unnecessary I guess, evil, unnecessary deaths, unnecessary stuff in this world that you wonder at what point do you really just say, what the fuck? You know, me as a person who lives life pretty good, I often say to myself, I'm not going to go down out of this world without living because of this. Yes, I want to do more and more things. You know, I started a cooking show. We just taped our first cooking show, and we made so many mistakes that we had to redo it, and we are redoing it, and I got professionals involved now. So we're gonna make that a really, really good cooking show, and I think it's gonna really be a hit. I think you guys will like it, because I'm going to famous chefs and stuff of that nature and seeing if I can make that dish in prison, if you want to call it that, or see how I would try to eat it myself. Or listen, I'm a foodie. You don't get to my size unless you're a foodie. Although, yes, people have been asking and commenting, I lost a lot of weight. Thank you very much. I lost 43 pounds. I went from 258 to about 214 maybe, so 213 maybe. So I'm near 45 pounds of losing weight, feeling great, and I want to be like that way. Not, you know, to live a good life, keep doing what I'm doing and enjoying what I'm doing. So now I don't want to lose my life over something stupid. Obviously, anything can happen in the law, and that's why when I saw this case with Daryl Brooks and his representing himself, at what point do you gotta grasp and say, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing? You know, I'm a pretty logical man who understands what's going on, and I think most people should. You know, I get calls by a lot of people who talk to me about injustice in the court systems. That's why this video is done. We have a broken criminal justice system. Anybody who tells you it's not broken is either part of the system and just makes money off it and just wants it to stay the way it's going, or they're pretty naive, because it's broke down from the arrest of people all the way to the prosecution of a person, and then into the incarceration of a person. There's not one part of the system that doesn't need fixing, and I'm gonna go over it in a little bit here. How I mean that is, I don't believe young people should even be arrested for stupid shit. Let me give you a case in point. If you're a young person and they arrest you, you're in a room and they arrest you, you happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just because you were arrested, I could look it up on the computer, and now maybe a future employer is gonna say, hey, you know, this guy just beat the case. You know, that's all this is. This guy beat the case. That's bullshit. They have a thing here in the state of Florida called Civil Citation Program, and I'm a believer in it, because that's where the cops will give a person a ticket, and they do a program like mine or another program, the Reality Check program or some other program, and this way they're not being arrested and processed in the system that way. And I believe in that. I don't think they should be, because obviously once you are arrested, everything changes. Now, you do have arrests, you do have a confusion in the law right now with marijuana, with different laws in different states. So you do have a lot of confusion right now. I had Representative Randy Fine on my show, and he talked about marijuana. He don't believe in it. I believe in it. Although of course, there was a constitutional amendment in the state of Florida, and once it's law, it's law. It doesn't matter what he believes or what anybody believes. It's law. So I believe in that. I just think people who are arrested for it, or people who are, you know, unduly harassed in a car or whatever it is, that's the problem. And if you get cops that still see a joint in the ashtray and want to, you know, harass you to the 9th degree, they can do that legally. And in fact, though, I just watched another case where they threw all that shit out. So that's just I hate to say it's their probable cause. And that to me is wrong. I don't think we should have law enforcement personnel who just want to get you for something, and that's their excuse to go through your car or whatever it is. Unless you're doing something wrong, you should not be harassed by the police, period. And I'm a supporter of police, and I'm going to have the police chief of this county on this podcast show, and we're going to find out what he believes. So in that, and I hope he believes, like most police chiefs are today, I think we're getting a little bit too far on arresting. Now, they say it's not because of money. I don't know if that's true. You know, whenever they stop somebody and give them a ticket, they do get a piece of that action. They can't say they don't. And I'm going to find out from the chief here again and see if he's lying or not. I don't think he has any reason to lie, but we're going to find that out. So that's the one part right in the beginning of the criminal justice system, is the arrest. Then you get to the prosecution part of it. First of all, I want to let everybody know, you know, a lot of these cases, you are better off going to trial. I know they tell you different stuff. They harass you. They try to intimidate you into taking a plea or something of that nature. Because, first of all, the cost of trials and stuff is very heavy. Second, you know, a lot of people aren't believing the cops like they used to. Let's face it. You know, is that cop always right? Is the cop who did the DUI right? Is the cop who arrested this person for under questionable circumstances, did he get the evidence the right way? There's a lot of things like that going on right now. And here's the problem. Each prosecutor is really, they read the law the way they want to do it. And if they want to be a hard ass and bust ass, they can do that. If they don't, they want to just be a person who's part of the community and gets the bad guy off the street, they could do that too. Listen, I'm all for that. You know, I never hear, and never was on this channel, and any young person watching me will ever tell you, I'm never here saying, no, we shouldn't do it. You know, we should let people go. I don't believe that either. I think people should be held accountable, 100% accountable. Because if you're not held accountable, what deterrent is there? But accountability has to be reasonable. You have to, you know, weigh the consequence with the act. And it can't be crazy. You can't be given, the crack laws was the biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes the criminal justice system ever made. The other was changing the sentencing guidelines and sentencing laws to make it where they can hammer people. For a, couple of ounces of cocaine, they could give you 20, 30 years in prison. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Because this guy's an addict or a substance abuser, he's getting it. He's getting that kind of a sentence. And then I love people who just say, well, they know the law, they shouldn't do it. What kind of place are we living in? You know, I don't get it. I'm not a fan of unreasonable sentences or unreasonable prosecutions. We need to temper justice with mercy. President Kennedy, before he died, when he appointed 70 new federal justices, he expressed how he had to get the people who can understand how they can temper justice with mercy. That's a big thing, because let's face it, all countries, they are judged on how they treat their elderly, they're infirmed, and they're incarcerated. So what I mean by that is they're elderly citizens, they're people who are sick, and also they're people who are incarcerated. That's the right way to judge people. You don't want to judge people on how they treat the rich people. Obviously, the rich people bought everything, know everything, and they have resources to do stuff and get out of stuff that a regular person doesn't. So I'm not one for that. But I think the case I was talking about right today in Waukesha, Wisconsin, which is the Daryl Brooks trial, unnecessarily, for what reason? This man literally gave no reason. No, hey, my foot slipped and I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to hit the horn, I couldn't hit the brake. I tried to hit the emergency brake. None of that. You want to talk about a confusing trial to a jury? Like, okay, there has to be some kind of an excuse, or there has to be some kind of reason why you do something. Otherwise, what the fuck did you do? And that is exactly this case. And what do you do with people like this? These are the kind of people who have to be held to the highest standard, meaning incarcerated for life. You know, you can't take 6 lives. Not accident. This is an intentional thing. And that's what was proven. This is not an old lady, obviously, who, loses control of a car, doesn't supposed to be driving, made a bad choice. Even the DUI, drunk drivers make bad choices. But are they evil? I don't know. I think, is this Daryl Brooks evil? I have a feeling you got to call him evil. I don't like to call people evil. I often say, I don't believe in bad people. I believe in bad choices. But there are bad people out there. And there are people who deserve, I guess, the maximum sentences, if you want to call it that. People who abuse children, I think, deserve the highest sentences they can give. Sadly, they don't. And I don't know why. I don't know. You'll hear people talk about, oh, it's conspiracies. And I was reading a lot about conspiracies earlier. And, I don't know where to go with it. And I'm going to mention a few of them in a future video, because they make you think sometimes, but you have to start weighing logic. I often tell people, don't get your news from one channel. I don't care if it's CNN, MSNBC, or Fox, or Newsmax, or whatever. Don't get your news from one channel. Get your news from multiple channels without agendas. If you're young and you're hearing that, remember that for the rest of your life. Don't get your news from one specific channel. It's very easily to support whatever a conclusion you have easily without being challenged. One of the most, I think one of the things I've learned as I got older, and even when I was younger, I was pretty good at this. You could change my mind. I have no problem changing my mind. If you can convince me, or you can debate me and give me logic and facts and stuff of that nature on any topic, I'm willing to change. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to accept that I was wrong. A lot of people aren't. And they stick to their thing and they fight to the death. Now, I understand why news agencies are doing it, because they're catering to an audience and they're catering to sponsors and ads and stuff of that nature to make money. And that's a money-making machine. That's all it is, everybody. That's what that is. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting your news in a logical way. I don't care if it's about President Obama, President Biden, President Trump, whatever it is. You need to hear it for yourself, not hear this spin put on it by every news agency in the world. I don't know when we got away from actual journalism and into spin, I call it. But it's sad right now what's going on, and people don't get the proper news. I think that's going to change, though. Young people are smarter. They do get their news from the internet and different areas in the internet. And even on the internet, guys, make sure you go and research it on all sides of an aisle. Elon Musk just took over Twitter, and he's going to be letting people come back on platforms, which I think you should anyway. I think it's very dangerous to just start hand-picking people who are going to be banned from any of these social media sites. Whether it's President Trump or somebody else, they shouldn't be banned. I mean, I think people have to learn how to realize people are crazy, or people are given false information. I know people, there's ways to do things with Photoshop and everything else, but we as a society need to understand that we need to be more proactive. So I'm blaming everybody out there. I'm blaming you guys who watch my videos. I don't care what I say. Please look it up, research it. I hope you do. I will debate it with you. I usually come on here and I'm very opinionated, but I usually come with facts, or I come with stuff I know personally. If I know it personally, then you ain't gonna change my mind. But I'm willing to open my mind and open my eyes to a logic or a different point of view, and then I might still not agree with you, but even if I don't agree with you, I think it's good that we could come to an agreement and leave in a good place. I often tell young people, listen, there's not one thing you say that bothers me. I want young people to start researching and asking questions. And there's an old saying, I'm sure you heard it from teachers and whatever, there's no such thing as a dumb question. And that's pretty much true. So remember that. I want you to remember that, and I want you to think hard on that, okay? With that said, listen, Daryl Brooks, I think he's going to be going away for life in prison at the minimum. I don't know if they have the death penalty in Wisconsin. Somebody can look that up for me. I think what's happened is sad, and it's all over the place. It is what it is. When I hear about these school shootings and I hear about these mass killings and stuff, I think, what the fuck is wrong with people? I mean, is people's lives in such despair that they have to go kill other people? No reason, no rhyme and reason at all? Fucking confusing to me. It really is. But I'm not going to stop voicing my opinion. I know people respect it. I talk about the prison system. I talk about the criminal justice system quite a lot. I am going to do a few movie reviews. I'm doing the cooking show. Had a lot of fun doing the first one, which was a test, but got messed up. Long story there. But it's going to come, and it's going to come in a good way, and it's coming right here to you on YouTube. So people are looking at it. Other networks want to look at it. But you know what? I got to bring it to my YouTube audience. That's just the way I am. And I'm going to do that. So you let me know what you think about Daryl Brooks and what should happen to him. I often look at the comments, and you know that, because I want to hear what you guys think. But think about it logically. Don't just think, let's cut his head off. Let's do something. Is he mentally challenged? Is somebody, you know, if you have an IQ of under a 70, you're considered mentally challenged, and you really can't be held to the highest degree, like with the death penalty, because they can't put somebody to death like that. So is he? I don't know if that's the case, but I could tell you he's a moron for representing himself. He had no idea what he's doing, and take note of that. And always get representation. Doesn't mean you have to listen to every word of them. Get representation. Do that. With that said, everybody, thanks for watching. Love you guys. Please stay strong. Make good choices. Don't have to be writing or listening from prison or something of that nature. But we're going to do more of that. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.